Hi, you guys. This is Player 2. Well, you might have heard a couple of weeks ago, actually, I'm kind of late to the game, but a couple of weeks ago, there was some big news. We have a world's first video game Hall of Fame. Yay! Exciting. There were 6 games that made it that were the first to be inducted. They were Doom, Pac Man, Tetris, Pong, Super Mario Brothers, and World of Warcraft. All right, let's get started. Number 10 is The Curse of Monkey Island. This was the third of the series, but honestly, it was my favorite because it brought in a new character. His name was Murray the Talking Skull. Does anybody remember him? He was a demonic skull that he didn't have a body or anything, he was just a skull. But that didn't really stop him from trying to come up with these evil plans to take over the world. And he was just so funny and just a little bit evil. He was just honestly my favorite character in the game. And actually the whole franchise, really. Guybrush Threepwood was alright, but Mary the Talking Skull, he's my favorite. So that's why this game is my number 10. Number 9 is Ducktales, The Quest for Gold. I played this game when it was a DOS game, when it was actually held on like a floppy disk. It was that old. The whole premise of this game is that you play as Scrooge McDuck and you're having a race against some guy. And the point is to make the most amount of money in 30 days. So you travel around the world with your nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and your niece, Webby, and your pilot friend, what was his name? Launchpad McQuack, that was it. So you travel around the world with these 5, and you go on these adventures. It's an adventure game. You go through jungles, which is actually like my favorite level, but there's also mountains and caves and wildlife reservations. That was a pretty easy one. But like I said, the whole premise is to make the most amount of money. So while you're going through these levels, you pick up diamonds, like literally through the size of your head. They are so ginormous. It was so pretty. And also treasure chests. This game probably was my first introduction to treasure chests, and oh my gosh, I've been just obsessed with that ever since. I mean, who doesn't love treasure chests, right? In every single game. It's just so fun to come across that kind of thing. So that's why this game is my number 9. Yay, treasure chests! Number 8 is Oregon Trail, the 3rd edition. Obviously, the premise of Oregon Trail is you start on the East Coast and you travel by caravan to the west. And along the way, you're hunting and gathering and fishing and trading. And I loved hoarding every little thing I can get my hands on. I would have tons of food and just random things like chickens and grandfather clocks and extra wheels. And I just had to have it all. And I kind of justified it because at the very end, when you reach Oregon, you get judged based on like how quick you get there and how well your crew is doing, but also how much stuff you have. You get a bigger plot of land by having a lot of stuff. So that's why I kind of justified gathering everything. And it was so fun having so much stuff in that game. But enough about Oregon Trail. Number 7 is Ace Attorney Investigations with Miles Edgeworth. This one was the first game that I played. It wasn't the first in the series, but I really liked the characters in this game. Miles Edgeworth and Kay Faraday, I think her name was, they were my favorite, better than like Apollo Justice or Phoenix Wright or Maya Fey or any of the others. But the whole series honestly had great aspects to it because you question witnesses and you hunt through these crime scenes to pick up clues, and there's these dramatic court scenes where you present evidence and you say objection and take that. All of it was pretty fun. Okay, number 6 is World of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. This was a Sega game that I played growing up, and I have really fond memories of this game playing with my sisters. I would always play as Donald Duck, and they would play as Mickey. But I forced them to play as Mickey because honestly, Donald is just my favorite character. He's so grumpy and adorable and so cute, and while you're playing him, you know, he can't squeeze through logs or something. His little bumpy tail sticks out. He's so cute. There's these magic cloaks that both of these characters have that you kind of swish and kill your enemies off. But what my sisters and I would do is we would like swish them at each other. And when you swish them at each other, you kind of like turn in this little squeegee thing and get stunned. So then I would like squish my sister and then race ahead to be first. Or if we were being like kind of really mean to each other, there's this one level under the sea in like this abandoned, broken down ship where there's these sharks. And I would like flap the magic cape at my sister and it would stun them and she would get attacked by sharks. Oh my gosh, this whole game was so fun. Love Donald, love the game. Okay, number 5 on my list is The Sims, the first Sims. This game was probably the first game that I sunk pretty serious hours into. I was so obsessed with playing God, basically. I loved controlling every little aspect of my Sims, controlling every second, every minute of their time schedule, and making my Sims perfect. My Sims had to be perfect. I maxed out all their skill points, but I would also like use the Rosebud cheat to hoard just a massive amounts of money. Another game that I love money. Gosh, that game was just life-changing. Okay, number 4 was Thief, the Dark Project. This was another game I was just obsessed with. It was the first in the series of Thief games, but I love this one the best because, gosh, how do I say this? The guards' conversations, listening to them talking about bears, and I mean, I know the whole games, they do treasure and pickpocketing and like unlocking doors and sneaking around. All of that was really, really fun. I could never play this game at night or even in the dark. I had to have the lights turned on. I'm like a scared little bunny with these kind of games, but so fun. I love sneaking around and collecting treasure and clubbing the guards with like my blackjack because I was like too stingy to use arrows because arrows are like, they're kind of precious, right? So I didn't want to use arrows to kill the guards because then I would have to use a water arrow to clean up the blood. So it was just much easier to use the blackjack. But anyway, number 3 is World of Warcraft. This game, I don't really need to say much about it. This game, when it came out, my life was over. I played this game for years. I don't even know how many hours and hours and hours I put into this game. One of the favorite things I ever accomplished in this game was actually getting the Phoenix mount. So beautiful. It was so worth it. Honestly, the bird, if you're flying on it, the tail feathers are like really visually distracting because it's all this gold and pink. But I'm super proud of myself for getting that mount. Probably one of my favorite things I ever did there. Number 2 is Grim Fandango. This is another classic 90s game. This game has just so many things going for it. You play as a skeleton. Hey, it's like another game that I like, Skeleton. The first one was Murray. Anyway, you play as the skeleton Manny, and he's traveling through the underworld, and he has this sidekick, Glottis, his best friend. Okay, don't get me started on Glottis. He is probably one of my favorite sidekicks in any game I've ever played. He is so adorable, and I love him so much, and I just want to squeeze him. He is so sweet. And this game has like a really cool 30s, 40s vibe that I really love. And the whole premise of going through the land of the dead, I thought that was a really unique storyline. But Glottis, honestly, it's Glottis. Glottis is the reason why this game made it into my number 2. And number 1, drumroll please, is Uncharted Drake's Fortune. This game, the whole series is really fantastic. I mean, treasure, of course. Most of these games that I've mentioned, I'm just obsessed with collecting treasure. But that wasn't the only thing that I loved about this game. The storyline, being like an Indiana Jones kind of meeting Tomb Raider kind of guy, and being on adventure games, that's kind of like my thing. And the cutscenes are so beautiful. The graphics were so unreal. I loved everything about this game. Just talking about it, I kind of want to replay it. So anyway, that is my top 10 list, my Player 2's Hall of Fame list for video games. I would love to hear from you guys if maybe the games I mentioned, you like them too, or maybe the games I mentioned, you're like, you're totally off your radar and you're wondering what on earth I'm blabbing about. It would be like really, really fun if I met someone out there who liked every single one of those 10 games that I mentioned. That would be kind of fun. To be like having a twin. So please let there be a twin out there who would leave a comment and say that you loved all 10 games. That would be really, really fun. Okay, anyway, that was my Hall of Fame list, and that's all I gotta say. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.